Hello everyone, welcome to Chasing a Murder Talking News. My name is Debbie. I want to ask you guys a favor. Could you please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel if you've subscribed before? Because YouTube seems to be kind of wacky lately. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. Hit the like button and make sure you comment. I just uploaded part 20 of Life Beyond the Grave. This is attached to the Lori Vallow case. But I needed to do part 21 right away. This case is so difficult to keep up with because I had to research beliefs and all kinds of things. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. February of 2008. Joseph Ryan is very concerned about a few issues attached to his daughter and the way that Lori might be treating her in order to get back at him. If you look, into 2019 and the accusations of her over-medicating JJ and these sorts of things, well, this seems to be a history. Joe Ryan wasn't here when this was going on, and these are breadcrumbs that he left behind. And I believe in order to get complete justice, that anybody, their attorneys, the prosecuting attorney, should be well aware of Lori's history of potential violence, threatening acts, and accusations of maybe over-medicating her children. I want to say thank you, first of all, to WTF. They are the ones that actually posted these documents, at least the ones that I found. You have to hear about these documents. So we know that Joseph and Lori are going through a very crazy divorce. It's getting crazy. He's being stalked, he's being attacked, and she's blaming him for being a bad guy. Lori has even convinced Joseph Ryan's sister to stand by her side as she accuses Joseph Ryan of being abusive. On these documents from Travis County, the Juvenile Probation Department, it says, to the parties involved in the Ryan/Vallow case. So they're kind of addressing these therapists that are going to be meeting together over this case February 27th of 2008. So it's addressed. I appreciate the attorneys and therapists for attending the meeting at our office on 2/27/2008. I hope the efforts to stay on the same and clarifying course will be successful. Ms. Smith described the statement from Tylee when we got together on 2/27/2008. That was disturbing. I received an observation from the supervisor on 2/25/08 that was disturbing. Statements and events that have been potential of causing either an overreaction or an underreaction and people involved in this case continue to occur at a rapid rate. If I believe that Ms. Vallow was over-medicating her daughter or making her stay up late in order to be lethargic during the visit with her father, I would have to schedule a hearing immediately. If I believe that Ms. Delansky threatened Tylee or her family in any way, I would be required to schedule a GAL report to the court and ask she be removed as a supervisor and report it to the police. In addition, I would be required to report both of these incidents to the CPS if I believe them to be a genuine concern. And guys, wait until you hear what she has to say, because she's very matter-of-fact and very sure of herself, okay guys, because we know what Lori Vallow is capable of. But looking back now, can you imagine? I'm thinking this is true. This is my opinion. Poor Tylee, poor Joseph Ryan, he's being pulled through the ringers here, guys, and I'm starting to believe more and more every day that I research this case that Joseph Ryan wasn't a bad guy at all. But I have to try to remain neutral. Share what you think below. So this is what she has to say. She believes Ms. Vallow. She says, I do not believe Ms. Vallow would directly or intentionally harm her child. I do not believe that Ruth Delansky would ever threaten a child or intentionally harm anyone. Let's pause there. So, what we would like to know more what's going on with that, which I haven't had time to investigate on Ruth Delansky, but it does sound like maybe Lori Vallow doesn't like this woman and she's not doing her job the way that she wants her to. Sorry about the noise, guys. It's a little busy right now. It sounds like perhaps maybe Lori was complaining about her. Most likely because she didn't like the fact that things weren't going the way that she wanted to, which is something we're familiar with Lori. So that's an idea of what's going on, not fact. Let's not forget that we have learned that whatever Lori's accusing someone of, most likely she's the one doing it. So if we apply this to 2008, that's a scary idea. Her document continues with, my conversation with Miss Smith indicated that she did not have concerns that would warrant a report to CPS or the police. Of course, neither of us can guarantee that our intuitions are correct. I have discussed this with my supervisor extensively. So here at least she does admit that she's not guaranteeing that this isn't happening. She just doesn't think so, which tells you that Lori is very persuasive. My reason for covering this is not only to open people's eyes to who Lori really is, but what the children are going through. Because you have to imagine that Colby's going through something, but Tylee's going through a whole lot, too much that a child at her age should be handling. She says, this is a pattern that has continued to spiral Tylee's life into a dramatic and destructive situation that I do think is harmful, and have outlined previous letters and reports to the court. If these events and situations persist, I believe that it becomes more and more possible to overlook something truly dangerous or exaggerate something that is manipulative in nature. Boy, she pegged it right on the head at that time. She just didn't understand where to apply it. She admits that this is a dangerous pattern. I am sending a brief outline to everyone who hopes that that it can help focus on a dynamic. After speaking with Miss Smith, Dr. Wilcox, and a few other people yesterday, I know that they are adamant about all the information being clearly defined and that boundaries are established. I hope this example can assist people involved to make that happen. But she seems unsure. I'm going to share that right here. So she's going to kind of toss the ball into their court and say, if you guys, believe that there's something that indicates serious threat to the child or the parties, let her know. Let's set a hearing as soon as possible. But you can tell that she's like, I don't know what to think, which seems to be common with anybody involved with Lori in a drama event. And so I feel like if people, like through the police department, if they had some kind of history of people, they could better determine how to judge someone instead of having to do it in 24 to 48 hours, which is difficult. Here you have these people dealing with it for years and they're still not sure. We have people coming and going, and we have an idea possibly why that's happening. Do you remember how Lori Vallow had Judge Eddings thrown out at one point? I mean, that's the way she works. If you don't do what she wants, she's going to try to get rid of you one way or another. And that's from my observation of Lori and how she has acted towards others, and of course my opinion. But here, February 2008, we know Tylee's having health issues. Now, we hear something else. We hear that Joseph Ryan is concerned that there's a possibility that Tylee might be over-medicated. Not only that, Tylee's being kept awake all night in order to have a miserable visit with her father. I wouldn't doubt that. What does this tell you if it's true? So, if you were to take this information we have right now and think about it, this is awful cruel. This means that she doesn't have a bond with Tylee like she should as a mother, which also disputes the fact she's a good mother. But at this point in Tylee Ryan's life, her health is going to become a concern each year that goes by. And Tylee must be learning at a young age, if she does something her mother doesn't like, she's going to pay. Reading these documents, you can't help but have these thoughts go through your mind. The pain, the torture this child must be experiencing going through this custody dispute with Joseph Ryan. And it appears that Lori Vallow has people either fooled or she has them walking in a straight line. So Tylee's been in a car with her father with people stalking her. And then now we are hearing these sorts of accusations. The month of February of 2008 is pretty crazy. I mean, it's just insane the amount of drama and events, horrifying events going on. And it's just a few months after the assault on Joe Ryan that Mrs. Fugel, forgive me if I butcher your name, continue to express concerns about the ongoing situations related to the visitations and ongoing destructive patterns. And so she's writing this letter that is to all parties involved with this case. She outlines disturbing statements made by Tylee. Knowing what we know today, it is alarming that a 6-year-old would have used words that you're about to hear while she claims somebody threatened her. Now remember, what we know about Lori Vallow at this time, and I say this over and over, that's because I want you guys to realize that whatever Lori says or does, blames somebody for or points her finger at, most likely she's the one doing it. Okay, and so here's another document. And it's a consult with Leslie Smith. Lori has flown in from Arizona to Texas for the weekend of February 16th. Now remember the documents we just went over, that there was some talk about Mrs. Delansky and some kind of threat to Tylee. And it mentions in the document that Miss Vallow flew back to Arizona on Sunday. So Miss Smith did not have a chance to discuss this with Tylee. And guys, we will be hopping back and forth. And so on February 26th of 2008, there's a consult with Leslie Smith. She actually met up with Tylee on February 25th, 2008. She appeared to be alert and well, and that she mentioned hurting her back on the trampoline. Now, she says this is discussed with Miss Vallow. Mentioned that Tylee made an odd comment, and this is something said allegedly by Miss Delansky during the last visit. And it's really hard to take in what they're saying in these documents because they really don't thoroughly detail the discussions. She mentions that they will discuss it on February 27th, 2008 during the meeting. On February 26th, Ms. Delansky's email to Dr. Wilcox stating that Joe had provided Dr. Wilcox with information. Again, they are referring to the possibility of being over-medicated and kept up far too late at night before his visit with Tylee. So February 27, 2008 arrives, and there's a meeting with Jay Henders, T. Weeks, Leslie Smith, and Carlos. Ms. Smith reported that Tylee said something along the lines of that Mrs. Roos said something mean to me. She asked, what? Then she claims that Tylee said something along the lines of Miss Roos would burn the whole family and kill us all. She says there's no tears or indicators of fear or upset when Tylee says this. This is ironic when you know the end result for Tylee. Miss Smith's question: where were you when she said this? The response was in the living room playing checkers. Then they asked, where was your daddy? He was in the kitchen, but he heard it. Then they asked Tylee, what did he say? When I went in to tell him, he said, well, just let her get away with it. Okay, first of all, my idea of what Tylee is saying here doesn't sound right. And soon after that, they say that Tylee actually liked going to her dad's, but at the same time, she don't want to spend the night there. So Lori Vallow's moving to Arizona. Joseph Ryan's trying to follow her. Alex Cox is now indicted in jail for 90 days. And according to his friend, Alex Cox has written Tracy around 4 letters since he's been behind bars. And she says in each letter, Alex finds a way to mention his ex-brother-in-law, Joseph Ryan. Alex wants Tracy to reach out to his mother, Janice, and ask her for Joe's address and put it on a postcard. And we know this story. He seems dead set, even though he's behind bars, to continue some kind of threat towards Joe Ryan, whether it be this deed be done by somebody behind the bars that he has met or by him, so allegedly. So what's going on with Chad Daybell around this time? So Chad Daybell, we know, has picked up an author by the name of Suzanne Friedman, and she's published her book through his book company. And he says he gets an idea to write a book, but he says this book has been there since forever. This book is a fictional book about the future. One thing you need to understand, when Chad says fictional book, it isn't really fictional. So again, he uses this idea of fiction, so therefore it's okay to write it. This is a way to get around being excommunicated by the LDS Church. So this series, Standing in Holy Places, it's written on the downfall of the U.S. because remember, they're going through a recession around this time as well. And Chad says in 2006, people are buying cars and houses and felt like it was not a really good time to tell the story because he comes up with this idea before the recession comes. Chad says in his blog that it seems ludicrous to write a fictional book about the downfall of the United States. And Chad doesn't realize that he's actually, in 2006, it seems like things are good, but they're not okay. In fact, they're making it easier for people to get mortgages on houses to make it appear as if the economy is fine. So Chad says also in his blog that he's seeing visions and that he's driving one day in his car and he sees a McDonald's, and just behind the McDonald's there's a mountain, and there he can see tents all lined up, and it's all LDS people living in these tents trying to survive during or after some kind of unmentioned horrific event. So I want to point out, during this time Chad doesn't have any problems with killing people. He hasn't made any plans to threaten people. During this time, Chad's worried that the end of the world is coming, and he's worried about everybody. But one thing I have noticed after reading several books and listening to several podcasts attached to people like Susan Friedman and Julie Rowe is Chad seems to pick up a lot of his ideas from his writers, the writers that he's publishing through his book company. So I believe this timeline in the lives of Chad and Lori are very important on knowing who was who when. So we see Chad, he's worried about end times. Lori's worried about end times as well, but she's so focused on destroying Joseph Ryan's life, she doesn't have time to really get into anything else. She has a lot of threats, a lot of stalking, and a lot of concerning things that people believe that she's coaxing Kylie to say. while Chad Daybell is just working on books and end times. But Chad says he holds back from actually publishing Standing in Holy Places because he feels it's a negative book portraying the future of America's downfall, and it's just the wrong time to do that. I believe that Chad is probably full of baloney because this is written in his blog in 2015. So he sees these tents surrounding the mountains behind McDonald's. And not only that, he finally mentions one event that is going to be so horrific. And this event is focused on foreign invasion in our country, United States of America. Chad Daybell isn't alone with this. In fact, around the same time, David Warwick has these same ideas, but we don't see or hear much from him in this timeline. And one of his biggest topics is the government pushing microchips. Basically the sign of the Antichrist, and these microchip implants will happen pretty soon. Now remember, this is around 2008. Here we are, 2021, no microchip implants. So one thing I did notice that Lori and Chad have in common in this timeline is the fact that they are scared of government or anti-government. So I wanted to get this out by the weekend for you guys. And I already have 20 out, but I wanted to go ahead and get 21 out because I know you guys would love to hear this information. Please guys, don't forget to check out these stories. Girls that are still missing: Jasmine Robinson, Kira Coles, Dulce, Suzanne Morphew, and Aisha. Please guys, take a moment to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell. Love you guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys soon.